It's time for another Dirt Daily. Today I am in the shop working on the summer camp Jeep. Today's project is the front axle. I was just going to swap tires on the front axle and then I found a few little issues. So today we're going to dive into the front end. Nothing major, just minor service stuff, but little things that have gotten worn in, worn out, and we have to fix them, rebuild them, or replace them. So next step in the front axle rebuild is, whoa. Does it look like I'm cross-eyed? I have like lights here and up there, and it makes me, but then when I stand here in the shadow. Okay, it's time to rebuild the U-joints in the front axle shafts. These are CTM U-joints, and so they have a rebuild kit. They're made out of 300M, they're super strong. They have caps that instead of having needle bearings in them, they're actually bronze lined. I don't know, yeah, you can kind of see inside there how it's bronze lined. I have run these U-joints for years. I have them in the Ultimate Avalanche, my big 8.1 liter, 3/4 ton Avalanche. They take a lot of abuse, they're super strong, but they do kind of wear in, especially in an axle that's constantly spinning like this is with the unit bearing. However, the other most important thing is you need to keep them greased. I may have been a little bit loose on my maintenance on the front U-joints. So I could, hypothetically, I could just grease these and put them back together and ignore them. But I have a rebuild kit that I had ordered for that axle that's in the Avalanche, and I have it this far apart, so I feel like I'm gonna take it apart, swap these in, and then I will be back in business. You can hear a little bit of that little bit of clicking in there, whether that's normal wear and it just needs grease, or it's actually getting worn out. I think I'm gonna be on the safe side, put the new caps in, keep the old caps for later, maybe use those old caps or send those old caps in to CTM and see if they can check them out. So the process is pretty simple. You're gonna need some hammers, you're gonna need some brass punch or bar, you'll need a snap ring plier to reach in there and get the snap rings out. And basically you will be replacing the caps, the snap rings, the O-rings, and the grease zerk fittings. So let's get right to it. So the first thing I'm gonna do, so if you look down in there, you can see the snap ring. So that snap ring holds the cap up against the yoke. And you need to remove it and slide it up towards the center of the cross. Oh, check it out. This CTM has an FW. I think my buddy Jack at CTM built me some custom joints. So you're gonna come in with some big old snap ring pliers, grab that and slide it up out of the way. See, here is where the snap ring plier was, and now I slid it out to there. Not the plier, the snap ring. So I slid it out to there so that now it's not locking the cap in place. And you'll do that on both the inner and outer parts of the joint. Come in here. So I cleaned these with gasoline. I just filled a bucket up with some gas and soaked them in it, scrubbed them. And then I came back and I sprayed them down with WD-40 to try and get everything loosened up. That one's back, that one's back, that one's back. So I really just have this one here that is still holding up progress. And sometimes you have to just get in here with a little hammer, kind of get them to walk around a little, and that sort of loosens them up. Then you come in with the snap ring pliers. There we go. The caps have a groove in it. You can see that groove right there. So when the cap goes through the yoke, the snap ring then snaps into that groove, keeping it from sliding back out. So when you want to remove the caps, you have to get it out of that groove, and I usually slide it in towards the inside, towards the cross of the U-joint. Then You literally are just going to hammer on the yoke right here. You're going to hit that, and you'll flip it over and hit that. And what that does is it pushes the yoke down. With this part of the axle kind of secure, the cross pushes the cap up, and you'll just work it back and forth, and it'll slowly protrude out. Now you can do this with the brass punch. I've found that even using just a little ball peen hammer or a little beefy hammer, these axle shafts are built so well, and they're heat treated chromoly that they barely even mark up. Just like that, the axle or the U-joint cap has already started sliding up. And we'll flip it over. I don't even think you can see the mark, any sort of marks on the yoke, and the cap is coming out again. So you just kind of flip this over and work back and forth. There you can see how the U-joint is getting close to being able to come out, and also how the snap ring and the O-ring are still just floating on the cross. Well, bam, the cap is out. So even though I was hitting that hammer right on the yoke right here, there's not really even any marks on it. And then because this other cap is almost out, it's able to slip off of the center cross. Now to get this cap out of here, I just drop this bronze punch down in there, and it knocks the other cap out. Now we have half of the U-joint out, and what we want to do is get these two caps out of the longer part of the axle shaft. So what I want to do is put something under the cross and then hit the yoke on this side. That will then push the cap up and out. It's already got the snap rings back out of the way. So I want something to hold that up that won't damage the cross. So I have a couple pieces of lumber. So when I hit this, the wood will force the yoke or the cross of the U-joint up. Probably if I had all the table cleared off, it would sit in there better. There we go. So I'm going to come right here and give this a whack and see if that cap will come up. You can see it's starting to rise up out of there. There's probably a really nice tool for changing these. I don't have that, so we'll use hammer and wood. You do have to sometimes flip the lumber over because it gets a big dent in it. Getting close. I can see the snap ring groove has come past the outside of the yoke. Alrighty, this is it. We can get this thing to sit still for 1 second. We can knock that out. If that thing comes up another 1/16 of an inch, we can lift this cap out. The yoke will come out, or the cross will come out, and then we can knock the other cap out the other side. Boom. Cap is out. Cross is out. Now, this cross, we want to clean it up, so we're going to put it in some parts cleaner. And all we have left is that one last cap. Last cap is out. Put that in the parts cleaner. Save these for later. I have the U-joint cleaned up. I have 4 new caps. Now the first step is to put some grease in those caps. I think it's best to get grease on everything before you start assembling it. That way you know there's grease down inside there. You're not putting together parts dry. Helps everything fall together. Probably going to be a bigger mess because I have the grease in there, but that's okay. Put a little grease on the cross. Make sure it's all lubed up, ready to go together. We will then grease this again later. You'll notice that as you push it in there, grease squirts out where the zerk's going to go. That's all right. Now, this cross has like a little recess on one side, and then on the other side, at the end, the cross kind of has an angle cut in the shaft. What that does is it allows you to put the yoke or the cross into the axle shaft. So it slides in with that recess, and then it will cross over and fall into place. Now, I did that, but actually before you assemble it like that, you want to put the O-rings and the snap rings on the cross before it goes into the yoke. Getting ahead of myself. Roll the O-ring on, and then the snap ring, and do the same across the cross for that. And now we can swing this up into place. Now we want to get these caps lined up with the cross and the opening in the yoke. So you kind of get the cross up in there and kind of line everything up. Just give it a gentle little tap. Just enough so that it seats itself in there. And then we flip it over, grab the other cap, slide it up so it's kind of centering everything to kind of get it started. Double checking that our snap rings and O-rings are all in place still. And then we're going to grab this bigger brass piece and it's doing 2 things. It's tapping this cap down on. It's also, because we're on a metal table, it's slowly pushing the other one up. And you also want to keep the cross of the U-joint lined up so that it can guide both sides. Nice and easy. As it's coming together, You're going to come in here with your, once you get this almost completely pressed in, then you want to get that snap ring out and onto the outside of the cup so that it's ready to drop into that little groove. So you can see here, still lots of slop. Both sides need to come in some more, and we can't even see the groove on the inside where the cap will show it up, and that's where this snap ring is going to sit. The O-ring is basically the seal to keep the grease from just coming out all over the inside of the U-joint. And that kind of brings it down in. Both sides are showing, so I'm going to grab the snap ring pliers and put the snap ring up on the cap. Okay, now with that, I sent that cap home, and this snap ring will drop into the groove. If you can look right in there, you can see how the two portions of the snap ring are really close together. That tells you that it has dropped into the groove and has closed back up. And we just have to do the same on the other side. Yeah. So both snap rings on both sides are nice and tight. The U-joint still flexes and moves around like it should. Sometimes you'll get this together and it will be really tight. If you just take your hammer and you give it a whack right there and right there, it seems to shock it out, and then everything starts to move. So we'll put the stub shaft in and we'll be good to go. Okay, axle shaft is back together. New U-joints, no clicky click. Everything's solid, everything moves nice and smoothly. So I need to finish cleaning that axle housing and get the new seals in there, and then we can start reassembling everything. That's it for this Star Daily. We'll see you guys next time.